Hello, so this is the video which deals with evaluation of Article 10. Now this came up fairly recently on the OCR exam paper, so 2021. And some of the key points that I would be discussing is, to start off with, the fact it is a qualified right. Well, the rights, you do have these rights, however, we can take them away from you. So you are protected because any interference with your rights has to be justified and it has to be proportionate. However, these limitations do restrict your right to freedom of expression. What amounts to proportionate? That is a value judgment. I would also talk about the fact that different states have a margin of appreciation. So this is good because it recognises that religion and morals may be different in different countries, but equally it means that there is inconsistency between countries. Morals do change over time as well as to what is acceptable and what is hate speech. But the limitations in Article 10 are there to protect people. So, for example, it's hugely offensive to deny the Holocaust. If there was true freedom of expression, you would be able to try and recruit people for terrorist organisations. You would be able to say racist things and openly try and incite racial hatred. So the limits are there to protect people, not just from a moral standpoint, but sometimes it could escalate into violence. The press claim Article 10, whereas other people who have articles written about them will be claiming a breach of Article 8. So it's very difficult. There is a conflict between Article 8 and 10. Axel Springer, the criteria helps to a certain extent, and it's very important that we don't restrict the press freedom in a democracy. But equally, we have to balance that with the right to private life. Democracy, I'd make the point, should encourage healthy debate. You should be able to challenge the government. You shouldn't be locked up for challenging the government. In terms of journalism, not always responsible. There have been many high-profile cases. So the phone hacking that took place, Chris Jeffries was hounded by the press. Cliff Richard was hounded by the press. Politicians need to be held to account. There's a lot of stuff in the press at the moment about Matt Hancock. So it's a balancing act. Journalists need to be able to report stories, so it's good they don't have to name their sources. However, there are some high-profile examples of them acting irresponsibly. Other things I would talk about, cybercrime is evolving very quickly. The law is always one step behind. So freedom of expression and websites and the dark web, it's very difficult to control that. I would also make the point that if you're bringing a defamation case, if you believe what's been written is false and it causes serious harm to your reputation, you will not get any legal aid. It's actually quite difficult to prove defamation, so that is problematic. And again, think about equality of arms. Quite often, if you are bringing a case against someone who has a lot of funds and can fund their court case, you are in a position of weakness. They are in the position of power. Sometimes freedom of expression crosses perhaps a moral line. So stand-up comedy amounts to artistic expression, but you do have a lot of very offensive comedians. So Frankie Boyle, Jimmy Carr, they spring to mind. They've got into trouble before over things that they've said. So there is a balance between Article 10 and just not offending people. But then Handyside says you can offend people. So lots of issues with Article 10, and hopefully that helps if it comes up as an essay.